She is mostly known as the Empress of Soul. She was one of Motown's shining stars in the late 60s and early 70s, playing a key role in the success of Gladys Knight and the Pips, the family group from Atlanta. The Pips were made up of Gladys, her brother Morale Bubba Knight, and her cousins William Guest and Edward Patton. Together, they created a musical legacy that still echoes today. But behind all that fame and success, Gladys Knight's personal life wasn't always smooth sailing. She faced her share of heartbreaks, including multiple failed marriages. Despite this, she remained strong and focused on her career. Born on May 28, 1944, Gladys Maria Knight is not just a talented singer, but also a songwriter, actress, and businesswoman who has left a lasting impact on music and entertainment. Her career spans decades, and she's received countless awards and recognitions. Her most iconic achievement was as the lead singer of the Pips, where she built a career that's remembered worldwide. However, her journey in love was far from easy. Gladys married 4 times and became a mother of 3 children. At just 16, she found out she was pregnant and married her classmate James Jimmy Newman, an Atlanta musician, in 1960. Sadly, she suffered a miscarriage during this time, but the couple later had 2 children together. Unfortunately, their marriage was marred by challenges, as Jimmy struggled with drug addiction and eventually left the family when Gladys was just 20. Despite all the difficulties, they stayed married for over 12 years, until 1973, going through some very tough times together. Gladys Knight and James Newman had a son, James Jimmy Gaston Newman III, born on August 13, 1962. During this time, despite all the struggles, Gladys made the brave decision to step back from her music career for a while. She retired from touring to focus on raising their son, while the Pips continued to perform on their own. In 1963, the couple celebrated the birth of their daughter, Kenya Maria Newman. With the growing responsibilities of motherhood and the need to support her family, Gladys eventually returned to her music career, recording and performing with the Pips. In the early 1960s, Gladys, James, and the Pips moved to Detroit, starting a new chapter of their lives in the upscale Sherwood Forest neighborhood on Detroit's west side. They also lived on Lowell Avenue for a time, making sure their children received a good education by sending them to a local Catholic grade school. Unfortunately, their marriage continued to face hardships, and after a 7-year separation, Gladys made the tough decision to divorce James in 1973. A few years later, James passed away, marking the end of a difficult chapter for Gladys. In 1974, after going through the heartbreak of her first marriage, Gladys found love again with Barry Hankerson, the founder of Blackground Records, a label that would later sign his niece, the famous singer Aaliyah. Gladys and Barry had a son, Shanga Ali Hankerson, born on August 1, 1976. However, their marriage also faced its own struggles. Around 1977, the couple moved to Atlanta, while the Pips stayed in Detroit. Despite their efforts, Gladys and Barry's marriage fell apart in 1979. The separation between Gladys Knight and Barry Hankerson led to a long and emotionally draining custody battle over their son, Shanga Ali Hankerson, adding even more stress to her already complicated personal life. Then, in 1979, tragedy struck again when Shanga was kidnapped. Devastated by his disappearance, Gladys spared no expense or effort in her relentless search for him, spending over $1 million in her quest to bring him back. Despite the emotional turmoil in her life, Gladys found herself married again in 1995, this time to motivational speaker Les Brown. However, like her previous relationships, this one faced challenges, and they eventually separated and divorced in 1997. Gladys also battled a gambling addiction for over a decade. In the late 1980s, she suffered a huge financial setback, losing $660,000 in a single night at a baccarat table. Confronted with the reality of her addiction, she made the brave decision to seek help and joined Gamblers Anonymous. This choice ultimately helped her break free from the grip of gambling. Through it all, Gladys went through a spiritual transformation. She had been a Baptist, but in 1997, she converted to Catholicism. Not long after, her spiritual journey took another turn when she was baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS, also known as the Mormon faith. This was influenced by her children's decision to join the LDS Church as well. Gladys's involvement with the LDS Church led to a funny moment with the LDS president, Gordon B. Hinckley, when she jokingly suggested that their music needed more energy. To her surprise, President Hinckley agreed, which eventually led to the creation of the Grammy Award-winning Saints Unified Voices Gospel Choir. In addition to her musical career, Gladys Knight took on a leadership role when she led the B1 Choir during the 40th anniversary celebration of the Revelation on the Priesthood. This was a significant chapter in her life, showing her dedication not just to music, but to faith and community as well. During a crucial time in her career, Gladys's son, Jimmy Newman, played a key role in managing her business affairs through his company, Newman Management, Inc. Tragically, Jimmy passed away from heart failure on July 10, 1999, at just 36 years old. His sudden death was a huge blow to the family, and his loss was deeply felt by Gladys and everyone who knew him. Jimmy left behind his wife, Micheline, and their children, daughters Nastasia and Gabriel, and sons Ron, Stefan, and Sterling. Despite this heart-wrenching loss, Gladys found love again in 2001 when she married William McDowell. Their union brought their families together, creating a large and extended family, with a total of 17 grandchildren and 10 great-grandchildren. Together, they formed a close-knit and lively family unit. The couple made their home in Fairview, North Carolina, where they purchased the former Rhodes High School in Asheville. They turned this property into a community center, underscoring their commitment to their local area. Beyond her personal life, Gladys continued to give back to the community. In 2017, she supported a fundraising event for the Children's Learning Centers of Fairfield County. The event, co-hosted by Carol Ann Rell and Alan Calter at the Palace Theater, raised an impressive $400,000 for this important cause. Gladys Knight's journey has been one of resilience, love, and a strong sense of purpose. She has managed to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and determination, leaving a lasting impact on the world through her music and philanthropic efforts. Her story is a powerful reminder of strength, family, and the positive difference one person can make. Let's take a trip through Gladys Knight's incredible career, which spanned the 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. Gladys Knight and the Pips created a collection of unforgettable hits that captured the hearts of audiences all over the world. With their soulful harmonies and Gladys's powerhouse vocals, they became a household name. They're perhaps best known for two massive hits that topped the Billboard Hot 100, Midnight Train to Georgia and That's What Friends Are For. The latter a star-studded collaboration with Dionne Warwick, Elton John, and Stevie Wonder. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The group also had 11 #1 R&B singles and released 6 R&B albums that topped the charts. Their success over the years is a testament to their raw talent and musical brilliance. Gladys Knight's influence in music has been immense, earning her a total of 7 Grammy Awards, 4 as a solo artist and 3 with the Pips. Her voice and artistry have made her one of the most celebrated artists in the history of music. 2 of her most iconic songs, I Heard It Through the Grapevine and Midnight Train to Georgia, were inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, acknowledging their historical and artistic impact. Gladys didn't stop at music. She also showcased her versatility by recording the theme song for the 1989 James Bond film License to Kill. Her influence is so far-reaching that Rolling Stone magazine named her one of the 100 greatest singers of all time, solidifying her place as a powerhouse in the music world. Her contributions to the arts have earned her prestigious awards like the National Medal of Arts and the Kennedy Center Honors. Along with the Pips, she was inducted into both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Vocal Group Hall of Fame. So what was it like for Gladys Knight in her early days? Gladys Maria Knight was born in Atlanta to Merrill Woodlow Knight Sr., a postal worker, and Sarah Elizabeth Woods. She grew up with her siblings, including a sister named Brenda and a brother named Merrill Bubba Knight Jr. Tragically, they also lost another brother, David Billy Knight. Gladys's musical journey began early in life. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, she discovered her love for singing while in her church choir, where her incredible talent started to shine. Her voice didn't go unnoticed, and by the age of 8, she achieved a major milestone. On July 1, 1952, she won the prestigious Ted Mack's Original Amateur Hour TV show contest. a victory that hinted at her future as a music legend. The formation of Gladys Knight and the Pips was as spontaneous as it was fateful. It all began at Bubba Knight's 10th birthday party, where a malfunctioning record player left the party without music. To save the day, Gladys, Bubba, their sister Brenda, and their cousins Eleanor and William Guest decided to sing together. What started as a simple solution turned into something extraordinary. Their impromptu performance was so remarkable that everyone at the party encouraged them to pursue music as a group. Their mother, Elizabeth Knight, quickly became one of their biggest supporters, pushing them to take their natural talent to the next level. Inspired by their cousin James "Pip" Woods, they adopted the name The Pips and began rehearsing seriously. They spent countless hours perfecting their harmony, stage presence, and unique sound. Soon they started entering talent shows around Atlanta, where their polished performances and Gladys's powerhouse vocals made them unbeatable. Their growing reputation as a talented act began to attract the attention of local music professionals, setting the stage for their big break. In 1957, their dedication paid off when they signed their first record deal with Brunswick Records. Under Brunswick, the group released 2 singles. Although neither release charted, it was clear that Gladys Knight and the Pips had something special. They gained valuable experience and exposure, opening for legendary R&B artists like Jackie Wilson and Sam Cooke. Performing alongside such icons not only boosted their confidence, but also helped them refine their craft and learn from some of the best in the industry. Despite their early promise, their contract with Brunswick Records ended in 1959, leaving the group at a crossroads. During this challenging time, 2 key members, Brenda Knight and Eleanor Guest, decided to step away to focus on their families. The departures could have spelled the end for the group, but Gladys and Bubba remained determined to keep their dream alive. In the wake of these changes, the group restructured. They brought in another cousin, Edward Patton, and a friend, Langston George, to fill the lineup. This new configuration marked a fresh chapter for the group. The addition of Patton and George brought new energy and dynamics to their performances, helping them evolve their sound. The group continued to perform, developing a reputation for their exceptional harmonies and Gladys's commanding lead vocals. They pushed forward, even as the odds seemed stacked against them. Little did they know these early challenges would serve as a foundation for the incredible success they would later achieve. Their persistence and passion set the stage for what would become a legendary career, one that would leave an indelible mark on soul music and beyond. In 1961, Gladys Knight and the Pips entered a pivotal phase of their musical journey with the recording of Every Beat of My Heart, written by Johnny Otis. At that time, they didn't have a major record label to back them, but luck was on their side. A local Atlanta label, Hunnam Records, took them under its wing and secured a distribution deal with VJ Records to release the song. The group then made a bold move to New York, where they seized the opportunity to audition for Bobby Robinson's Fury Records. When they arrived at Fury Records, they discovered that Every Beat of My Heart was already gaining attention and climbing the charts, but they weren't receiving the financial rewards they deserved. To remedy this, Robinson had the Pips re-record the song and release the new version under the Fury label. This savvy move paid off, with both versions of the track creating waves on the Billboard charts. The original Hunnam VJ release peaked at an impressive number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, while the Fury Records version gained significant traction, cementing the song as a breakthrough hit for the group. During this time, the group made a pivotal change by officially renaming themselves Gladys Knight and the Pips, reflecting Gladys's powerful role as the lead vocalist. As their career continued to rise, they released Letter Full of Tears in 1961, another hit that cracked the top 40 and further solidified their growing reputation. Riding this wave of success, they released a string of singles with Fury Records, each contributing to their expanding fan base and critical acclaim. In 1962, the group faced a shift when Langston George decided to leave. His departure marked the end of an era for the Pips, but also laid the foundation for their transition into the next stage of their career. Around the same time, Gladys Knight decided to take a brief hiatus to focus on her family. She married musician Jimmy Newman and stepped away from the group to start a family. Her absence was deeply felt, but it wasn't the end of their story. In 1964, Gladys rejoined the group, bringing renewed energy and focus to their music. This reunion marked a crucial turning point in their journey. The group signed with Larry Maxwell's Max label, opening up new opportunities for growth and experimentation. Under the guidance of producer Van McCoy, they began releasing a series of singles that showcased their evolving sound. These tracks highlighted Gladys's soulful voice and the Pips' harmonies, blending rhythm and blues with pop influences that resonated with audiences. This period was not just a continuation of their earlier success, but a reinvention that helped solidify their place in music history. With each release, they demonstrated their versatility and commitment to their craft, laying the groundwork for the legendary career that lay ahead. In 1966, Gladys Knight and the Pips took another major step when they signed with Motown Records. Although they didn't immediately have a guaranteed hit and were initially seen as a secondary act by the label, they soon proved their worth. They began to achieve great success with a series of hit singles. Early in their Motown career, they had the honor of touring as the opening act for Diana Ross and the Supremes. However, in her memoirs, Gladys Knight shared that Diana Ross removed them from the tour after the overwhelming response to Gladys's soulful performance, which at times overshadowed Ross's act. Berry Gordy, the head of Motown, later told Gladys that her act was giving his star a run for her money. In 1973, they made another pivotal move, leaving Motown for a more promising deal with Buddha Records. This decision marked a turning point in their career, leading to even greater mainstream success. The same year, they released Midnight Train to Georgia, which not only won a Grammy but also topped both the pop and R&B charts. Their success continued with hits like I've Got to Use My Imagination, The Way We Were, Try to Remember, and Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me. During the summer of 1974, Gladys Knight and the Pips recorded the soundtrack for the film Claudine with the legendary producer Curtis Mayfield. This soundtrack included standout tracks like On and On, The Makings of You, and Make Yours a Happy Home. Their music also found a passionate following in Europe, especially in the United Kingdom, where they became quite popular. A bunch of Gladys Knight and the Pips songs found success in the UK, sometimes years after making waves in the US. For example, Midnight Train to Georgia climbed into the UK top 5 in the summer of 1976, 3 years after it became a hit in America. As the late 70s rolled in, legal troubles forced Gladys Knight and the Pips to work separately. This marked a big turning point in their careers. Gladys went solo, releasing her first albums, Miss Gladys Knight in 1978 with Buddha Records, and Gladys Knight in 1979 with Columbia Records. Meanwhile, Gladys was also going through changes in her personal life. After her divorce from James Newman II in 1973, she married Barry Hankerson, the uncle of future R&B star Aaliyah. At the time, Barry worked as an executive aide to Detroit's mayor, Coleman Young. In 1976, they had a son, Shanga Ali, born on August 1st. But their marriage had its ups and downs, and they ended up in a tough custody battle over their son. On the career front, 1980 was a milestone year for Gladys Knight. Johnny Mathis invited her to collaborate on 2 duets, When a Child is Born, one of Mathis's classics, and The Lord's Prayer. Shortly after that, Gladys Knight and the Pips signed with Columbia Records, reuniting as a quartet and starting a fresh chapter. To bring their new music to life, they teamed up with legendary former Motown producers Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson. Gladys Knight and the Pips kicked off their Columbia Records era with 2 albums, About Love, 1980, and Touch, 1981. About Love included the hit single Landlord, which struck a chord with fans and added another success to their growing list of chart toppers. This time marked a creative comeback for the group. In 1983, they kept their momentum going with the release of the hit single Save the Overtime, For Me. This soulful boogie-style track, produced by Leon Silvers III, famous for his work with Shalimar, became a standout hit. While it peaked at number 66 on the Hot 100, it claimed the #1 spot on the R&B chart for a week in mid-1983, making it their first R&B chart topper since 1974. The song's music video was ahead of its time, blending R&B with early hip-hop influences, making it one of the first to do so. The album Visions, which featured Save the Overtime, For Me, highlighted the group's versatility and included another R&B hit, You're number one, in my book, proving they were still a force in the music world. In 1987, Gladys Knight decided to embark on a solo career, marking the end of an incredible era with the Pips. Their final album together, All Our Love, 1987, released under MCA Records, featured the infectious lead single, Love Overboard. The song shot to number one on the R&B charts and earned the group another Grammy Award, adding to their legacy. After a successful farewell tour in 1988, Gladys Knight closed this chapter of her career with the Pips and set out on her solo journey. The Pips decided to retire as a group, bringing an end to an era of unforgettable music and performances. Gladys Knight, already a celebrated figure both with the Pips and as a solo artist, began her solo career with fresh energy and focus. The legacy of Gladys Knight and the Pips was firmly etched in music history, earning them numerous accolades, including inductions into the Georgia Music Hall of Fame in 1989, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1996, and the Vocal Group Hall of Fame in 2001. In 1985, while still with the Pips, Knight made a major contribution to AIDS awareness by teaming up with Dionne Warwick, Stevie Wonder, and Elton John on the iconic benefit single, That's What Friends Are For. This chart-topping hit raised awareness and won a Grammy for Best Pop Performance by a duo or group with vocal in 1986. That same year, Knight performed with Dionne Warwick and Patti LaBelle in the HBO special Sisters in the Name of Love, showcasing the incredible talent of all three artists. On March 27, 1988, she delivered a stirring performance of America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 4 in Atlantic City, showcasing her versatility. The following year, Knight recorded License to Kill, the title track for the James Bond film, which became a top 10 hit in the UK and Germany, cementing her international acclaim. In 1991, she took another bold step in her solo career, releasing her third solo album, Good Woman. The album topped the R&B album chart, featured the number 2 R&B hit Men, and reached number 45 on the Billboard 200, marking her highest solo chart placement. The album also included Superwoman, written by Babyface and featuring Dionne Warwick and Patti LaBelle, which earned a Grammy nomination. That same year, Knight teamed up with LaBelle on I Don't Do Duets for LaBelle's album Burnin'. Gladys Knight's incredible journey has been a blend of musical brilliance and impactful moments on and off the stage. She performed the national anthem at Game 1 of the World Series, wowing audiences with her powerful voice. Her fourth solo album, Just For You, went gold and earned a Grammy nomination for Best R&B Album in 1995, solidifying her solo career. Knight's love for music and commitment to charity were evident in her many collaborations and philanthropic efforts. She co-headlined VH1's Divas Live 2004, supporting the Save the Music Foundation. In 2005, she recorded a duet with Ray Charles, You Were There, for his album Genius and Friends. In 2008, she joined forces with Chaka Khan, Patti LaBelle, and Diana Ross at the Divas with Heart concert to raise funds for cardiac research. She also appeared on American Idol to raise money for charity, alongside stars like Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr., and Ben Stiller. One of her most touching performances came in 2009 when she sang His Eye Is on the Sparrow and The Lord's Prayer at Michael Jackson's funeral, honoring the King of Pop. In 2013, she contributed the song You and I Ain't Nothin' No More, written by Lenny Kravitz, to the soundtrack of Lee Daniels' The Butler, showcasing her adaptability as an artist. In 2014, her album Where My Heart Belongs became her 30th top 40 R&B album, including her work with the Pips. That same year, she encouraged women in the entertainment industry to prioritize self-respect and avoid selling sex, staying true to her values of grace and dignity. Gladys Knight's influence reached new heights when VH1 ranked her not 18 on their 100 Greatest Women of Rock list. In 2019, she performed the national anthem at the Super Bowl, a decision met with mixed reactions due to Colin Kaepernick's protests. Knight acknowledged his cause but expressed her views on the method of protest. That year, she also performed at the Delaware State Fair's 100th anniversary. In 2022, her immense contributions to music and culture were celebrated with the prestigious Kennedy Center Honors, presented by President Joe Biden. She even headlined the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit dinner at the White House, proving her enduring legacy on the global stage. Gladys Knight's life and career reflect talent, resilience, and a deep commitment to both her music and making a difference in the world.